All right, so I came across a pretty disturbing article from The Hill, if I do say so myself. The title of the article is the following: Americans list China as top threat in new survey. Uh-oh, here we go. So it seems like the propaganda has been thoroughly effective in poisoning the minds of American people. Let's see what this article has to say. Americans list China as the top threat to the US according to a new survey from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute. The survey found 52% of Americans view China as the biggest international threat to the US, up 15% from this past February. The number is up more than 20% from 2019 and 2018, when 28% and 21% respectively saw China as the biggest threat to the US. Wow. While Americans see China as the biggest threat, Russia and Iran come in next at 14% and 12% respectively, followed by Afghanistan at 5% and Iran at 4%. The increase comes as China and the U.S. have grown contentions on issues such as Taiwan, human rights, and the coronavirus. Beijing has been angered by Washington over remarks from U.S. officials supporting Taiwan and accusations that China is committing genocide in the Xinjiang, I don't know how to say that, region against Uyghur Muslims. While Americans are more likely to view China as a threat, confidence in the U.S. military's ability to keep the country safe has also eroded, according to the poll. Only 45% of Americans trust the military a great deal, an 11% drop since February and a 25% drop since 2018. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation Institute identified a drop in confidence across demographic groups, stating the drop seems to be more about a general negative sense than a predominant or precise reason, though political leadership tops the list. Wow. So this is absolutely outstanding. Americans list China as, I guess, the U.S.'s biggest threat. So if you haven't noticed lately, and maybe you have if you're paying attention or half paying attention, that's all it really takes today's day and age with the, just the outright stark and unabashedness of our politicians these days and trying to start this new Cold War with China. And that's essentially what it is. It's a new Cold War that they're trying to rev up. They need something else to distract the American people from their terrible economic situation that we're all currently dealing with right now. So, well, what's next? We just ended the war in Afghanistan. We can't point to the Taliban anymore and blame them. People aren't so hot on Iraq anymore or whatever. So who's the next threat? Russia not really working out as we thought it would. China. It's China. China is screwing us over. The Chinese, they're the reason why. We can't blame the immigrants anymore. People aren't really falling for that anymore. Okay. China is going to be the next big threat. China's the reason why you're suffering. And they're trying to start this new Cold War. And it's actually very kind of amazing what's happening right now with China. So China has been experiencing amazing amounts of growth, especially over the past 20 years. Their GDP has risen several times faster than America's GDP. Their population, the Chinese workers there, their wages, I believe, have quadrupled over the past 20 years, whereas American wages, as we all know, has been very stagnant. And these are stark facts that we must take note of. And, with America and our leaders, whether it be, Biden calling the leader of the Chinese Communist Party a thug, or whether it's Donald Trump and his antics when he was president, being hostile, the aggression against China, the tariffs, and all this other stuff, the trade wars and what have you, trying to stamp some sort of authority. I feel like Americans and American politicians as well need to come to terms with and realize that we're not in the position that we used to be. This is not the same world that it was however many decades ago that they want to go back to. America is not in the bargaining position that it once was in. And that's a harsh reality that has to be faced and has to be taken seriously. And we have to be honest about it. Listen, the Europeans, almost in unison, and this doesn't get reported on in the United States, okay? The United States media does a terrible job, or they do a good job, actually, of propagandizing the people. They do a terrible job of actually letting you know what's going on outside of the borders of the U.S. But the Europeans have basically said that if the United States wants to start a new Cold War with China, they will not participate. No. And what they're doing is they're actively cutting deals with China because they realize China is on the rise. And if they want to survive, they have to at least try to get in on because they have to save themselves. They can't sit in the corner with America while we sit and pout about what once was and it no longer is. No, 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 no. They see the future is changing, the world is changing, and they either get in line and get along or there will be nothing left for anyone. Okay? And this threatening to go to war with China, I mean, what the fuck is that even about? I mean, it's absolutely amazing. You know, some time ago, I believe it was Germany and Russia. And I think it was, I may get this wrong, but I think it was Germany was aiding Russia somehow, I think building some kind of natural gas pipeline. And the US stepped in and said, hey, stop doing that. And Germany said, no. Since then, since when was that ever a thing? You know, you see how times are starting to change, how, you know, different countries are feeling more emboldened. And different countries around the world are saying, you know, we don't really need to rely on the US anymore. We can rely on a different superpower, that being China, that being the Chinese. And we have to recognize this. Let me point something else out to you. This Chinese aggression that they want you to believe is going on. There are no Chinese Navy boats on any U.S. territories. You know, they're not outside of Puerto Rico. You know, there's no Chinese Navy boat maneuvering outside of Texas in the Gulf of Mexico. None of that's happening. But there are U.S. naval ships in the South China Sea just kind of maneuvering around thousands of miles off the coast of China. This is a headline that I read the other day. I also read the article, but just let me read you this headline of the Washington Post. This article was published 2 days ago. U.S. commander calls for more aircraft carriers in Pacific to deter China. Who's the aggressor in these situations? I'm genuinely asking, because who... What? So they're supposed to be aggressing us. That's why we need to call for more aircraft carriers in the Pacific. What's happening right now? We just got done fighting a 20-year war in Afghanistan that we call the withdrawal, but the rest of the world sees it as a loss for America. Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam, Syria, well, whatever, any one of these nations that we're inducing our terror on, these are all losses. And these are gnats of countries, need I remind you. I hesitate to even call them that. But, I mean, these are people with no resources, no money. They have no military. The Taliban is like a ragtag group of fools, you know, basically doing their own thing. And the United States couldn't accomplish whatever it was they wanted to accomplish in Afghanistan. Imagine then having had what happened in Afghanistan, what happened in Iraq, what happened in Vietnam, and now you want to take on China? This is unlike anything America has faced before. I mean, even signaling like you want to go to war with China, I don't think that's something that any American should want. In terms of population, they've got us beat. So if we actually go to war, they can outlast us. They have an advanced military. Need I remind you, so China's supposed to be the aggressor, and this is no defense of China or the Chinese government. I am no in way support of whatever that it is that they do. I'm just being honest. So we have the biggest military budget in the world by far and away. Our military budget is bigger than the next 10 countries with the largest military budgets combined. And over half of them are our allies. But we're supposed to be led to believe that the Chinese are the aggressors. Interesting. Look, man, the propaganda is working. It is. I don't know how long this is going to go on. I don't know what's going to be birthed into fruition as a result of it. I'm as much of a spectator in all of this as I'm sure the rest of you are. But this is not good stuff.